Okay, so today is the simulation game of the Energy Group. This simulation game is fully part of the program and is a combination of two modules. Module 1 on the international relations and Module 5 about the professional skills. So what do we do during this simulation game? We use a concrete case of an energy dispute. So today is the gas, but I'm not going to say more about that. The students had a lecture on this gas dispute, and now they are negotiating to try to find a win-win agreement. How do they negotiate? They negotiate that thanks to the negotiation techniques delivered by Mark Young from Rational Games. We are partnering with him and his team for a few years now, and every year he teaches the student how to negotiate first in a bilateral situation, and now with this simulation game in a multilateral negotiation.
Yeah, I mean, we've been working with the students on negotiation in several steps. We started with bilateral negotiations last winter, where they learned how to negotiate with one other person, and we gave them a tool for preparation, which is an analog tool that they fill out, where they think about what their goals are, their alternatives if it doesn't work, and then some issues with priorities and ranges, a first offer, a target, a walk-away, very classic negotiation tool. And so they worked on that first bilaterally, and then when we picked up again 3-4 months later, we moved into multilateral, where you do the same thing. It's more complex, more difficult, and many more solution sets. So you take what you do bilaterally, but then you have to apply it to not one other person, but 5 other parties, and look for connections and look for opportunities to create value. And that's much more challenging and much more exciting. So know what you want, which is harder than it looks. Sometimes our goals are in tension with each other. You want the result quickly, you want a high price, and you want a good relationship. You can't have it all. So you have to think about trade-offs. So getting that right and clearing it with your home front, with the people behind you, is, I think, one big thing. The second thing, I think, would be knowing what they want. So that's the whole empathy thing, and really learning how to ask questions and to read body language and learn that what people say is not always what really is going on. That's a big art. And then I think the feeling of when to cooperate and when to compete.
So the second aim of the simulation game is to put into practice the recommendations delivered by Mark Young in the second term of the program. The students then test their capacity to develop statements and positions on the countries they represent. They test their ability to speak in public. They test their ability to negotiate alliances, partnerships, to gain new allies on their side, and finally to sign a win-win agreement. We don't know if they are going to make it today, but we hope so.
The first 2 rounds of negotiations were a bit tense, and talk of recognizing Northern Cyprus was kind of a red line for us. So we went into the 3rd round of negotiations and basically asked the EU for money. We realized we could probably be bought, and were willing to compromise on the gas situation for investment from the EU in renewables to allow Cyprus to become energy independent.
After long discussion, unfortunately, our interests not all already reserved. For that, we need some clarification.
I am very happy. We have a unanimous decision on what we decided, which is making Turkey happy economically, but at the same time, meeting EU with the gas on EastMed. So I'm really happy.
Well, we knew the EU was willing to spend money because they'd already spoken about buying Turkey off, and we thought, well, why not give that to us instead, as an EU member as well. So we approached the EU and said we can basically back down on our somewhat immovable position on the gas with sufficient money.
And the key question is, how did you get Turkey on board?
Well, we left that to the EU basically, so credit to them. We gave a maximum we were willing to accept in terms of percentage. And we made it clear to Turkey we weren't willing to talk to them directly and they would have to talk to the EU.
I think that it is true. It was a long process to discuss about the issue with all the countries involved. I think that we were able to come out with a solution when the other countries, and especially the representative of the EU, they recognized the Turkish interests and what we believe could be solved, especially that we had an offer on the table for a compromise, and also to not take into consideration other problems which we believe that are more strategical and cannot be discussed in this matter today.
Yeah, since the renewables weren't even on the table in the beginning, and adding that I think really pushed Germany, France and the EU as a whole over the edge to support us instead of giving too much concessions to Turkey.
And as you know, Egypt is main producer of gas with the biggest field gas with other partner like Eni from Italy. So we try to call all the actors, regional and international as well, to solve the issue by meeting, negotiation and bilateral discussion.
We felt that in the position of the Italian government, we should not accept at the first stage. And then the fact of mentioning Italy specifically as being important for this peace deal, that's what we're taking away, and that led us to accept.
First of all, from a personal perspective, it was really challenging because I'm Turkish and I'm defending the EU benefits on this against Turkey and against other member states and regional actors. To me, my strategy was to listen to everyone, really understanding the red lines and possibly going back and forth between actors, sometimes losing some of them in the way, but really listening to what everyone is really saying and what they want, because at the beginning, for example, Turkey was really straight with the Northern Cyprus recognition, which is a very hard red line for Cyprus and Greece and possibly with France.
I think we all enjoyed it very much, first of all, and I think it's very important to think of everything you have on the table, everything you can use, and the concessions you're willing to make in order to get some wins at the end of the day.
But I think also, as Mark has been saying, I think our suggestion of the money essentially made the pie bigger, as he would say.
Yeah.
So I think we increased value in the whole debate, and then I think that allowed an agreement that wasn't based on just dividing up the gas, but actually adding something else to share.
As a political scientist, I don't believe that this is the real case in the real world and would happen in the real world. But I think these kind of stimulation really encourages us to think more and maybe, taking a step back and say, what is the alternative solution and how we can help our countries, our institutions to come up with newer solutions. If you keep going back to the issues that we couldn't solve in the past 50 years, we're not going to solve them in the next 50 years, and that is not beneficial for anyone.